The internet didn't just react, it detonated. In a single moment, timelines froze, comment sections caught fire, and millions of people all asked the same terrifying question at once. What did Candace just expose? And why does Erika look like she was ready for it? Because this wasn't a normal response. This wasn't a shock. This wasn't an outrage. This was the calm of someone who knew the blast was coming, and still didn't flinch. Late last night, Candace dropped what she called evidence. Not opinions. Not vibes. Receipts. Alleged screenshots. Alleged voice notes. Alleged messages that were never meant to leave a private circle. And within minutes, Erika Kirk reacted in a way that made people's stomachs drop. No denial. No clarification. Just a cryptic response that felt less like innocence, and more like strategy. Fans immediately noticed it. Critics circled it. Insiders went silent. Old videos resurfaced. Deleted posts suddenly mattered. And social media erupted with one chilling theory: if there's nothing to hide, why does this reaction feel like containment? Because this wasn't just drama. This felt like a dam cracking. A perfectly polished image under pressure. A feud that suddenly looked less like beef and more like exposure. And as people began stitching timelines together, one thing became impossible to ignore: this story didn't start today. It's been building quietly, carefully, and allegedly on purpose. And now, the silence is louder than any accusation. The evidence is circling. And whatever Erika is being accused of hiding, might be far bigger than anyone is ready for. It didn't begin with a shout. It began with a pause, the kind that makes your chest tighten before something goes terribly wrong. Candace Owens' timeline went dark, and when it lit back up, it wasn't with commentary or outrage. It was with evidence. Alleged evidence. Cold. Sparse. Surgical. And the moment people realized what they were looking at, the internet shifted from curiosity to panic. Because these weren't vague accusations. These were names. Dates. Screenshots. And one repeated implication that refused to go away: Erika Kirk had been hiding something for a long time, and now the door was cracked open. The first thing that unsettled people wasn't what Candace showed, it was how precise it felt. A single image of a private message thread, partially blurred, allegedly pulled from a closed circle chat. One line visible. Just enough to read. Just enough to haunt. It referenced a draft that should never be seen, and mentioned someone by name, a name Erika's team had publicly claimed didn't exist. That contradiction alone sent fans spiraling. Because either Candace fabricated everything, or Erika had lied before this even started. And then came Erika's reaction. Not a denial. Not a statement. Not even a defensive posture. Just a calm, almost poetic response posted to her story, the kind of sentence that looks inspirational on the surface, but reads very differently when you're under scrutiny. People expected anger. Or at least confusion. What they got was composure. And composure, in moments like this, doesn't feel reassuring. It feels rehearsed. Within minutes, Twitter turned into a crime board. Users began pulling old clips, archived posts, forgotten interviews. They noticed patterns they hadn't before. Times Candace was conspicuously absent from events she had once been front and center at. Moments Erika spoke about protecting the circle and guarding the mission, phrases that suddenly felt loaded. TikTok stitched videos side by side, comparing public praise with alleged private dismissal. And the comments all asked the same thing in different ways. If Erika has nothing to hide, why does this feel like damage control? Behind the scenes, insiders allegedly started whispering. One anonymous account claimed Erika's inner team had gone into lockdown mode hours before Candace posted. Comment filters activated, messaging paused, approvals centralized. Another claimed staffers were instructed not to engage, not to react, not to confirm or deny anything. Just silence. Strategic silence. The kind that lets a storm pass while hoping people get tired. Candace didn't let that happen. She followed up with context, not more screenshots, but a narrative. She spoke about trust. About being welcomed into rooms where decisions were made quietly. About realizing, too late, that some alliances aren't partnerships, they are surveillance. She said she had once defended Erika when others questioned her methods. Now, she said, she wished she had asked harder questions sooner. That's when the alleged voice note entered the conversation. It wasn't released cleanly. Just a clip. Low quality. Heavily debated. But the voice, if it was real, sounded dismissive. Strategic. Almost bored. It spoke about longevity. About how loud people burn out while elegance survives. No name was spoken, but nobody doubted who it was about. And once that audio circulated, something shifted. Because it didn't sound like a misunderstanding. It sounded like a plan. Erika still didn't deny it. Instead, her platforms became immaculate. Comments praising her faith and strength rose to the top. Questions disappeared. Users claimed they were blocked for asking neutral things like, "Is this true?" or "Can you clarify?" That only fueled suspicion. Because nothing enrages the internet faster than feeling managed. And suddenly, Erika's brand, built on transparency and grace, felt tightly controlled. Then came the alleged insider leak that escalated everything. A document, said to be internal, surfaced briefly before disappearing. Screenshots of screenshots. Lists with color codes. Names grouped under labels like monitor, observe, and address. No proof it was real, but no proof it wasn't, either. And one name appeared again. The same name Erika's team had denied knowing. The same name Candace had referenced. At that point, coincidence stopped being an option. Public reactions fractured instantly. Some fans defended Erika with near-religious loyalty, claiming this was a spiritual attack. Others said faith doesn't excuse silence. Influencers, who had once praised Erika, posted vague quotes about truth and accountability. Others said nothing at all, which spoke volumes. A few quietly deleted old photos and captions linking them to her events. Candace, meanwhile, leaned into the fire. She didn't celebrate. She didn't gloat. She warned. She said what she had seen made her realize this wasn't about her personally. It was about systems. About how power moves quietly behind curated images. About how dissent isn't always attacked. Sometimes it's erased. She said she believed Erika wasn't panicking, because panic suggests loss of control. And control, she implied, was the entire point. That comment alone sent shockwaves. Because suddenly, Erika's calm wasn't strength. It was confidence. Confidence that whatever Candace had wouldn't be enough. Confidence that silence would protect her the way it always had. And that idea, that this wasn't her first crisis, just the first public one, unsettled even her most loyal supporters. Late that night, a burner account posted a single sentence before vanishing. "There's one piece she doesn't know we have." No context. No follow-up. Just enough to ignite fear. People speculated wildly. Was it an email? A recording? A financial document? Something from years ago? Something buried so deep it required silence to survive? Erika posted again the next morning. A soft image. A neutral caption. Words about peace. Protection. Candace broke her silence without breaking it at all. She posted a black screen with white text. One sentence. She said she was learning that what she thought was a feud might actually be a system. That word, system, changed everything. Because now the story wasn't about two women. It was about infrastructure. About who gets elevated, who gets erased, and who decides behind closed doors. Within minutes, anonymous messages began flooding commentary channels. Alleged former collaborators. Alleged assistants. Alleged contractors. They all told versions of the same story with unsettling consistency. They said there were circles you were allowed into, and circles you were quietly pushed out of. They said praise was public, but correction was private. They said if you crossed an invisible line, doors didn't slam. They simply never opened again. One message, shared and reshared across platforms, stood out. It claimed that certain creators were categorized internally, not officially, not publicly, but strategically. High risk. Medium risk. Low risk. People laughed at first. Then screenshots surfaced of an alleged planning document with eerily similar language. Nothing definitive. Nothing legally concrete. Just enough alignment to make coincidence impossible to believe. Erika still hadn't spoken. Instead, she posted a photo of her Bible open to a highlighted passage about endurance. The caption talked about storms revealing foundations. Supporters flooded the comments with prayer emojis and affirmations. Critics flooded them with one question she still refused to answer. And once again, the critical comments vanished. That's when a former ally cracked. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. She posted a story that disappeared after 10 minutes. Black background. White text. She said she had been warned years ago to be careful around certain people. She didn't name Erika. She didn't need to. The internet connected the dots instantly. Screenshots spread faster than the story ever could. Then came the alleged server. A private digital space. Invitation only. Claimed to be for collaboration and support. Allegedly repurposed into something else entirely. People began claiming they had seen channels dedicated to optics. Timing. Narrative alignment. Even distraction tactics. Birth announcements timed to drown out controversy. Devotionals scheduled to shift sentiment. The idea sounded absurd, until multiple people described it the same way without knowing each other. Candace responded again. This time, with a video. No editing. No background music. Just her, looking tired but focused. She said she hadn't wanted to believe any of it at first. She said she'd defended people she shouldn't have. She said she thought loyalty was mutual until she realized it was conditional. Then she said something that made the entire conversation turn cold. She said she believed there were files. Not gossip files. Not screenshots. Actual dossiers. Compilations of mistakes. Old posts. Private struggles. Things you could use to apply pressure without ever threatening outright. She said she didn't know how extensive they were, only that they existed. And that they weren't meant to be used unless absolutely necessary. Erika still didn't deny it. At this point, silence no longer looked neutral. It looked intentional. Strategic. Almost practiced. As if this wasn't the first time she'd waited out an accusation. As if the playbook was already written. Then an anonymous PDF began circulating in DMs, 8 pages. No logos. No letterhead. Just timestamps, internal notes, and references to donor pipelines and influence management. People argued over its authenticity, but one line sent chills through everyone who read it. It mentioned containment. Not resolution. Not reconciliation. Containment. If Candace ever turns, containment will fail. That sentence detonated the conversation. Because containment isn't about reputation. It's about damage. About preventing something from spreading. And suddenly, every prior allegation snapped into a single terrifying theory. This wasn't about control for power's sake. It was about protecting something buried so deeply that exposure would be catastrophic. Candace posted again. One line. She said she had seen something she couldn't unsee. And then she disappeared completely. No tweets. No stories. No comments. Nothing. That's when fear replaced excitement. Because Candace doesn't vanish unless she's thinking, or being advised to stop. People speculated wildly. Was she negotiating? Was she preparing something bigger? Or had she been warned? Erika posted the same day. A smiling photo. Soft lighting. Caption about protecting her peace. The juxtaposition was jarring. One woman silent out of tension. The other serene amid chaos. And insiders whispered the same thing everywhere at once. This wasn't retreat. It was stalling. Late that night, a burner account went live for 7 seconds. No face. No sound. Just text typing slowly across a black screen. They are panicking. That means we were right. 7 seconds. That was all it took to reignite everything. Because panic suggests something is at risk. And whatever that risk is, it hasn't surfaced yet. The evidence we've seen so far. People now believe it's just the perimeter. The outer layer. The real secret, the one that required silence, control, and containment, is still buried. And if it comes out, it won't just change opinions. It'll end careers. Somewhere, someone is deciding whether to speak. Somewhere, a file is waiting to be uploaded. And somewhere in all this quiet, a line has already been crossed, because once people believe the truth is being managed instead of told, they don't stop digging. They escalate. And whatever comes next won't arrive gently. By the time the next leak surfaced, the internet wasn't screaming anymore. It was whispering. And whispers are always more dangerous. Because whispers mean people are afraid of being heard. Afraid of being noticed. Afraid of being next. It started with an email. No sender name. No signature. Just a subject line that felt like a threat disguised as a warning. You're missing the real story. Inside was a PDF that stopped even the most aggressive commentary channels mid-upload. 8 pages. No branding. No accusations in bold letters. Just internal notes, timelines, and references that suggested this entire implosion wasn't reactive, it was preventative. That Erika's silence wasn't confusion. It was protocol. The document didn't focus on drama. It focused on risk. Financial relationships. Donor expectations. Quiet settlements. Influence pipelines that never appear on public disclosures. And then, buried halfway through, a reference to an incident. Years old. Never public. Never litigated in the open. Allegedly buried under NDAs and carefully chosen intermediaries. No details. Just enough implication to explain everything. Control. Silence. Monitoring. Containment. If that incident ever resurfaced, the document suggested, it wouldn't just damage a brand. It would dismantle a network. That's when people stopped asking whether Erika was hiding something and started asking what she was protecting. Candace saw the document. Sources say that's when everything changed. She stopped posting. She stopped reacting. She stopped fueling the fire she had lit so expertly. Instead, she went dark in a way that felt deliberate, almost heavy. And when she finally resurfaced, it wasn't with receipts. It was with a warning. She said she had seen something she couldn't unsee. And that was all. The internet understood what that meant. Candace doesn't hesitate unless the stakes are higher than ego. Higher than reputation. Higher than views. And suddenly, her earlier words echoed differently. This wasn't about rivalry. It was about independence. About being uncontrollable. About being someone who couldn't be bought, managed, or quietly erased. That made her dangerous. Meanwhile, Erika's camp began to fracture. Not publicly, privately. Influencers who once praised her leadership began deleting photos from conferences. Brands issued vague statements about internal review. A former coordinator, face blurred and voice distorted, posted a video claiming she had been part of strategy calls where nothing was ever written down. Instructions came as voice notes. Requests came disguised as prayer. Pray for her influence to be redirected. Pray she finds peace outside the spotlight. Everyone knew what that meant. Soft removal. The video vanished within hours. But not before it spread everywhere. Then came the document that pushed this past speculation. An anonymous account posted a file titled the Kirk Protocol. It read like a playbook. Crisis containment. Narrative redirection. Influencer tracking. Soft removal procedures. Gentle language designed to erase someone without ever appearing cruel. And on the final page, a table. Names. Categories. Risk levels. Status updates. Candace's name was there. So was the name Erika had denied knowing from the very beginning. That was the moment people stopped defending out of loyalty and started questioning out of fear. Because if this was real, even partially, then silence wasn't spiritual. It was tactical. And the calm Erika projected wasn't peace. It was confidence in a plan she believed would work. Erika posted again. A photo of her holding her child. No caption. No explanation. A reminder of humanity in the middle of chaos. Some saw it as grounding. Others saw it as shielding. And critics pointed out the timing felt intentional. Because vulnerability can be armor when used correctly. Late that night, one final screenshot leaked. A message thread labeled internal. Months old. Allegedly Erika writing, "If it ever gets out, we deny, then go dark. Let the heat pass. Relaunch stronger." Those words froze everything. Because now the question wasn't whether her silence meant guilt or innocence. The question was whether we were watching a strategy unfold in real time. Whether this was the denial phase. Whether the darkness was intentional. And whether the relaunch was already planned. Candace reposted the leaked coordinator video with a single line, "They thought I was the storm. I was warned." And then the internet braced. Because someone, somewhere, is holding one last piece. An email. A recording. A name that's still redacted. And everyone can feel it, the tension before impact. Influencers are watching each other. Brands are distancing quietly. Allies are choosing silence over statements. And Erika Kirk remains composed, untouched, waiting. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Containment only works if nothing leaks. And right now, everything is leaking. So the only real question left isn't who's lying. It's who's going to speak next, and who's trying to stop them. If you've made it this far, understand this, you're already part of it. This isn't passive drama you casually scroll past. This is a story unfolding in real time, and the people watching closely are the ones who won't be blindsided when the next piece drops. Because it will drop. Someone is holding back. Someone is deciding whether to stay quiet or hit upload. And when that happens, the internet won't slow down to catch you up. This is the moment where missing out isn't just missing tea, it's missing context. Missing the receipts. Missing the moment everything finally connects. Right now, timelines are being rewritten, alliances are cracking, and silence is being weaponized. And the only way to stay ahead of it is to stay locked in. So like this video. Not later. Now. Because engagement decides what gets pushed, what gets buried, and what gets seen. Subscribe immediately, because channels that follow this closely are the first to catch leaks before they disappear. Turn notifications on, because the next update won't come with a warning, it'll come fast, and it'll change everything. And most importantly, drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is being hidden? Do you believe the silence is strategy, or collapse? Who do you think is holding the final piece, and why hasn't it been released yet? Because the scariest part of this story isn't what's already out, it's what everyone keeps hinting hasn't surfaced yet. And when it does, you'll want to be here.